Hello YouTube. Well, today I thought I'd do the answers to my 2000 sub competition Q&A. First of all, I'd just like to thank everybody that took the trouble to first of all ask a question, and there's quite a few of you that did that. And also those of you that perhaps didn't ask a question but left a fantastic comment. So once again, thank you very much for those comments. I really do appreciate it. Without you guys, I wouldn't have got anywhere near 2000 subs. So once again, thank you very much. So without further ado, I'll crack on with the questions. So the first question is from Biker. He says, "Congrats Keith, I need to think about this one for the first competition though." Well, there's still time, and that goes for anybody. If you still wish to enter the second competition, that's the competition to create a trailer for my channel, then there's still time. You've got until the end of June for that. But his question is, which toys of your children would you never throw away? Well, I had a bit of a think about that one, and I think my daughter has got two toys. I think, well, you don't actually class them as toys. She's got a very expensive doll and a very expensive teddy bear, and I think I would be hard pushed to chuck those away. I'd find it quite easy to chuck her other toys away because she's got far too many, to be honest, and she really needs another decent clear out. But they're the two toys I think that I wouldn't throw away for any reason whatsoever, simply because they were quite expensive and they're quite special. Right, next question is from Fast and Fearless. First, well done on 2000 subs. Hope you keep going strong and hit 3000 subs soon. Thank you very much for that. So his question is, would you like a very expensive new bike or a very expensive old bike? Remembering the old bike will be a rare classic, e.g. YZF R7 or Honda RC45. Well, I'm pretty lazy when it comes to looking after bikes, and I think if I had a really expensive classic bike, I think it would go to rack and ruin. So for me personally, I would probably opt for the very expensive new bike, simply because it'll be easy to maintain, and you know, there's no danger of me kind of ruining it for any reason if I wanted to resell it. So excellent question. So for me it would be a very expensive new bike. Okay, next question is from Volgnik. Well-deserved milestone, mate. What is your most, geez, that was close, I'm such a plonker moment? And we've all had at least one. Well, mate, I've had loads of those. I had one only yesterday. Yesterday was the Yorkshire Biker 93's ride out at Squire's Cafe, and I took a second camera with me to put on the back of the bike to get some good shots of all the bikes behind. But like an idiot, what I hadn't realised was the memory card that I'd put in was actually full. So when I went to upload the footage this morning, obviously there wasn't any because the card was already full with some previous footage. So that was a bit of a, oh my god, I'm a plonker moment. And this last week I had another one. I was on my way to work, went to park in the car park where I usually go and park, and like an idiot, I don't know what I was thinking, maybe I was half asleep, but I thought for some reason the kickstand was down. So there I am, gradually trying to put the bike to one side, and it's going further and further to almost horizontal before I suddenly realised I hadn't actually got the kickstand down. So if I remember, I'll insert a bit of a clip because I think I did actually video that. So I'll insert that now, and you'll see for yourself what a complete idiot I was. But yeah, thanks for that question. But I'm having absolutely, I have loads and loads of them. So many of them, unfortunately, or fortunately, I don't record. Okay, next question is from Auto Two Wheeler. Congrats on getting 2000. Question: has motovlogging changed your life in any way? Plus, has your daughter forgiven you for throwing out her toys? Well, I think I've answered the first one before. Motovlogging certainly has changed my life. If it wasn't for riding bikes and being a vlogger, I certainly wouldn't have met all those wonderful people that I have met in the last 3 to 4 years. And for that I'm truly grateful. It's certainly opened up a whole new world for me personally. I'm not someone that has a lot of friends. I do generally struggle to make new friends, but this vlogging community has certainly allowed me to do that. So that has certainly been a big change in my life. The other part of your question, has my daughter forgiven me for throwing out her toys? The answer is no. On occasions when I do mention it, you just have to look at the expression on her face, and I think she'll probably not forgive me for a very long time. But yeah, good question, thank you for that. Okay, next question is from the infamous biker. Congrats, mate. My questions. Number 1, can I have one of your mugs, please? Can't be bothered to make a trailer for you. Well, the answer is no, and you never know, you might win this competition. And question number 2 is, do you really dislike me, or is it all just bravado because you secretly fancy me? Well, Kev, I do actually secretly fancy you, but there's one thing that slightly puts me off, Kev, and that's your accent. So I'm more than happy to come over and, you know, have a bit of jiggy with you, but you'd have to do me a favour, mate. You're going to have to put a bit of tape over that mouth so I couldn't hear that Scouse accent of yours. But other than that, yeah, I'm up for it, mate, if you are. So yeah, I'd very much fancy you, mate. Okay, next question. Metalhead18241. Congratulations on 2,000 subs, Keith. Very well earned, thank you. Where would you like to tour next? Well, funny you should say that. My next tour, if you haven't already seen the video, is to Australia, and I go there in November this year, and I'm hoping to meet up with Captain Cranky and Mr. Oz Adventure, hopefully 1 or 2 other Australian vloggers. So that's something really exciting that I'm really looking forward to for later on this year. But I'd really like to tour Europe. I'm certainly thinking about doing that either next year or possibly the year after, because I'd also like to tour the northern part of Scotland or the Highlands. I've got lots of things I want to kind of tour, but it's kind of finding the time. But yeah, good question, thank you for that. And he's asked a second question, and that is, what bike would make you consider giving up the SV for? Well, I have to be honest, I don't think I'm ready to give up the SV just yet. But if I was to give up a bike, it would have to be the Kawasaki ER5, simply because that's just a bit of a run around. I don't particularly look after that one very well. I think I've only washed it the once since I've had it in almost 2 years. So the SV for now I think would stay. That would probably end up being my second bike, and I would certainly trade in the other bike for something a bit more up to date. But you'll have to wait and see what that might be. Okay, Chegs on 2 wheels. Congratulations on reaching 2k, Keith. Question, how many different cameras did you get through before finally finding the one that works? Well, I have to be honest, I've only ever used the Drift Ghost. That was the first camera I ever bought. In fact, I've still got the same one I originally bought 3 or 4 years ago. But what I have found that over the last 3 or 4 years, although the camera hasn't changed, how I've set up the sound, the audio, the positioning has changed. It took me a long time to get the settings right on that, and then when I changed my helmet I had to change it again, because sometimes helmets, for whatever reason, probably due to how they're built, how the air flows through them, no 2 helmets are ever the same. So I'm forever changing or altering my settings. So for me, it's not so much the camera that I've changed, but the settings. So thank you very much for that question, Chegs on 2 wheels. Next question is from my mate Hepcup Harley. My most heartfelt congratulations, dear boy, on reaching this mammoth milestone of 2,000 subscribers. My question is this: has your mother ever caught you? Well, my mother has never caught me, but my father has. That's maybe a story for another vlog. But his serious question is, what has been my most euphoric moment whilst out riding? Well, I have to be honest, I've had quite a few of those moments over the last 3 or 4 years, mainly around my touring in particular. I remember going to the top of Hard Knock Pass when I toured north of England, not last year but the year before. I think that was my first tour, and that was just absolutely amazing, just to get at the top of that pass and just see the view over the valley. It was just fantastic. And then of course last year I went to Ireland, and there was lots of moments throughout that trip which you could class as euphoric. But if I was to pick just a few of them, I would probably say the coastline of Northern Ireland that XT Donkey took us round on our next but last day. That was fantastic. That coastline was just absolutely stunning, and every turn there was a moment just like that. And I would probably say the other euphoric moment on that trip was probably Dula Pass. I hope I've pronounced that right. But that was a fantastic day's riding. We got up to the top of this pass. There was a monument to the famine, the potato famine that happened many years ago in Ireland. And the view back down that valley was just absolutely fantastic. And if I remember, I'll insert a picture here of a photo that Dan took just looking down the valley. I mean, that was just a fantastic moment that day on that trip. But all of Ireland, if you ever consider doing a tour, I would recommend Ireland. But you won't be disappointed, you seriously won't. Anyway, moving on. The Geordie Biker. Congratulations, Wyvern. My questions are: 1, why did you get a better SV than me? Well, probably first of all, I probably had a bit more money than you, so I could probably get a slightly newer one. But I'm a bit of a tart when it comes to bikes. I do like a good looking bike, and I did look at a few SVs, but as soon as I saw that white SV with the fairing, I just knew I had to have it. So that was a bit of a tart in me, really. I can't walk past a really beautiful looking bike. And his second question is, what would be my next bike? Well, I've thought long and hard about this, and I'm not entirely sure what that would be. I've got a few bikes in mind. I think my top 2 of bikes I certainly would like to have a test ride on would be the MT-09 Tracer. I do like the look of that bike. I also like the look of the Z1000 SX. I think that's the model that Calm Bikers got. That's the touring version. I do like that bike. So those 2 bikes for certain I will be having test rides of, possibly next year, with a view to maybe upgrading, like I said earlier, the ER5 to a newer bike. But I could still change my mind. There's lots of bikes out there. I'm certainly interested in more of a touring bike, so I'd have to wait and see. But thanks, Geordie Biker, for those 2 questions. Okay, moving on. Larry Crazy Sheep Davis. Congratulations for reaching 2,000 subs. Question: if money was no object, what would be your ideal holiday? Well, that's quite easy. I think I would do a round the world trip, similar to what maybe Charlie Borman did. Maybe not quite as much as what he did, but I would certainly like to travel the world. And every time I touched a different continent, I would probably hire a different bike and tour as much as that continent as possible, and see as much of the world as I could possibly do. Clearly I'd have to obviously not have to work, so it would have to be a trip of a lifetime. I'd have to quit work and possibly spend a year, maybe 2, doing that. So although you couldn't really class it as a holiday, I think it would be an absolutely awesome trip. So thank you for that question. Okay, next question. Mike on a Bike 1971. Congratulations on 2,000. Question: do you have a favourite biker food? Well, I do, and that has to be fish and chips. And his second question is, how much planning goes into a tour such as your Ireland trip? Good question. I actually spent, I would say, probably 2 to 3 months planning that trip. That was from the route, finding out where every single campsite was along the way, because one thing that we didn't do, and that was to book each night's campsite. We basically Tried to go as far as we could, and then we'd find a campsite, so that took a lot of time and effort to find those campsites. The other thing that we did, I think we had at least 3 hangouts, the guys and myself that went on the island trip. So in those hangouts we discussed things like equipment and the route, etc. So I took a long time to plan that tour, but you could probably say, you know, in some respects it was probably a bit over planned, but I went with the view that I'd rather over plan than under plan, just in case something happened. So thanks Mike for that question. Svengali Ride, congratulations on 2000, good sir, thank you. I'd love to hear what, who, why got you into biking. Well, there's lots of reasons why I started to ride a bike. First of all, there was a guy at work, I think he was the caretaker, he had a couple of bikes and he was always coming on his bike to work. I just got chatting to him one day about bikes in general, and I was going through a bit of a rough patch with my marriage at the time, and it subsequently ended, so I kind of took that opportunity to kind of do something a bit different, and I decided at that moment I was just going to buy a bike, and I've never looked back really, and I totally would recommend anybody, if you're ever considering riding a bike, just do it. It's one of the best experiences ever. I certainly wouldn't necessarily own a car again. In fact, I've got rid of the car a few years ago, and I've only got the bike. So a combination of some life factors and also chatting to a guy at work who had a bike kind of made me bite the bullet, if you like, and go for it. So thanks very much Svengali for that question. Woman Wolf Rider, well done and well deserved. Question: how long is your Suzuki, but to make it harder in furlongs? Well, I'm going to cop out of this question, Kat, because A, I don't know how long a furlong is, and I'll be honest, I don't even know how long my Suzuki is, whether that's in feet and inches or metres. So it quite possibly might be 1.5 metres, possibly, I don't know. So I'm sorry, Kat, I'm going to have to dip out of that one. I certainly don't know how long a furlong is. Maybe you could tell me in the description below. Okay, next question is from Bimble. Congratulations, mate, very well deserved, and you certainly put in the mileage, thank you very much. Question: if you had to do one of these things or you'd never be allowed to ride again, which would you choose? Either kick a nun or punch a baby. And then he's giving me a bit of a sensible question, but I'll do those ones. I certainly wouldn't want to punch a baby, I think that's a bit cruel, but I wouldn't be adverse to kicking a nun, even if it was accidentally. I think that would be pretty good, just to see what the reaction would be. But he's also asked some more questions. Well, he says they're serious questions, but I'm not sure whether they are or not. He said, would you rather have it in your mouth, a big white sausage, or a nice spotted dick? Well, I'm partial to a bit of spotted dick, so I think I'd have to go with the spotted dick, Bimble. That's what I'd probably rather have in my mouth. Thank you very much. But thank you for those questions. Black Mamba Biker. Well done on 2K, mate. Why did you start vlogging? And when did you see something amazing happen when riding and you didn't have your camera on? Well, I started vlogging. I think I've already answered, I've answered that question in a previous vlog. I guess I started vlogging because I'd not long been riding the bike, and I was kind of needing to kind of widen my circle of friends. I didn't really have an awful lot of friends, to be honest, and I thought it would be a good idea and a good opportunity to try and start joining a community like vlogging and make more friends, and I've certainly achieved that more than I could ever imagine. So that was one of the main reasons why I started vlogging, and also just to kind of record those moments and those journeys that I'd taken on my bike as a kind of a record, really. Going back to your second question, whether I'd seen anything amazing happening when riding my bike that I didn't have my camera. Well, funny you should say that. I wouldn't say it was amazing, but it was extremely funny. You'll know this because you're from Derby. I was coming up to, there's an island in Derby, it's called Pentingan Island, and it was by there's a set of traffic lights near the cricket ground, and I just pulled up at the set of traffic lights, and just next to me was a great big articulated lorry. And just on the footpath at the side of the road was a group of lads, and one of the lads was on a bicycle, and these lads that were walking with him were egging him on to pull a wheelie on his bicycle. Of course he did, and like an idiot he fell flat on his arse. It was so funny, and the funniest thing about it, the guy that was in the lorry, the articulated lorry, pipped his horn as loud as he could, and it was just the funniest moment I've ever seen. And I thought, my God, I just wish I'd had the camera at that very moment, because it was so funny. I thought, serves you right for acting like a complete dick for a start, showing off to your mates, and then following through by. But just unfortunately I didn't have the camera with me, so but that would say that was one of those moments, mate. Next question, Gareth Williams. Congratulations on reaching 2,000 subs. My question is, why do you want to put me in a drawer? Well, Gareth, that's because you're my precious. That's answered your question. Phil480, huge congratulations on hitting 2,000 subs. My question, is there anything putting you off about going to Australia, such as their many species of vicious, deadly killer insects of death with their sharp, pointy, venomous claws and teeth? I haven't really thought about it, Phil, to be honest, and I think if I did think about it, it perhaps would put me off slightly, but I think lots of these things you're very unlikely to encounter unless you kind of go out and look for them. But one thing I don't particularly like doing, and I don't even like doing it in this country, and that's going in the sea. I certainly don't go in the sea if I can't see the bottom. I've just got this thing about deep water, and I know in Australia there's things like box jellyfish and big sharks that like to eat people. So that would be the sea would probably be the thing I would be most wary of. That's not to say I'm not possibly going to go in the sea, but I certainly wouldn't go very far out from the shore, and I'd certainly make sure I wouldn't be that deep that I couldn't see the bottom of the sand. Because simply I just don't like very deep water. So thanks, Phil, for that question, but I'll let you know how I get on if I do meet any nasty poisonous creepy crawlies while staying out there. Nashi, congrats. My question is, can you put a fruit pastel in your mouth without chewing it? Well, I happen to have, and I'll just go and get it, some fruit pastels, so I'll see if I can answer some questions without chewing them. So here goes, Nashi. Right. E2S2 screenshots. My question is, why do people who have seen a friend wearing glasses for the first time say, oh my God, do you wear glasses? What a dumb question. They obviously wear glasses if glasses are on their face. Some people, congratulations by the way. Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? The other question that really annoys me, and sometimes I do this, when people say to you, don't take this the wrong way, but, well, clearly you are going to take it the wrong way, because it's going to be either sarcastic or rude, isn't it? And I've done that myself, I have to admit. It's just a silly question. But yeah, people ask very stupid questions, and very obvious questions sometimes, don't they? Thank you for those questions. Okay, O2 Big Kev, congratulations on the subs, Keith. My question, number one, why did you start vlogging, motovlogging? I think I've already answered that question, Kev, so that's answered it for you. Second question, what was the number of subs you thought you would reach when you first started? Well, when I first started, I did have a bit of a figure in my head, and I think the figure was 500, so I've certainly surpassed that by reaching 2,000. If I don't get any more, I think I'll be certainly satisfied with what I've got. But if I suddenly hit 3,000, I think that'll be absolutely fantastic and more than I could have ever imagined. But yeah, 500 was probably the figure I kind of had in my mind as a figure that would be a good milestone to reach. But like I say, I've long since got past that, and I'm eternally grateful for all those that have kind of subbed me to get that far. And his third question, what is your favourite vid that you've ever done? God, that is a hard question. I remember doing a video, I I think it was called Why We Ride or something like that, and I put a music backing track on it. I think it was Inception. I think it was from the film Inception, and I put a soundtrack of a speech by Charlie Chaplin. That's got to be one of my favourite videos. But in terms of videos that I've done as part of someone else's challenge that have been a favourite video of mine, I think I'd have to say the Captain Cranky on two wheels competition videos that I've done. I think I've done 2 now, simply because it's just about putting together all those favourite moments, all those favourite rides that you've done to some fantastic music that Captain Cranky produces himself, and you know, they're usually a joy to put together, and a very little effort as well. I've certainly got a lot of joy out of those videos. So thanks indeed very much for those questions, Kev. Right, next question is from Skeggy Cruiser. Nice one, Keith. Congratulations on the 2024 subs at this point. I'm still around the 1900 mark, so not far off. But I hope you do, mate, because you're probably one of my favourite vloggers, and we've met each other many times, and I always look forward to meeting you, Skeggy. So I hope you get there, mate. So his question is: if Gemma told you she wanted to get her own bike to ride at 16, would you let her, or would you want her to wait until she was 17, or not at all because Daddy's Little Princess is too precious? Well, it's funny you should say that, Skeggy. I've actually asked her that question quite a few times already, and she's always said that she doesn't really fancy a bike herself, although she's quite happy to carry on being a pillion, which is good as far as I'm concerned. But you know, if she just decided at 16 or 17 that she did fancy riding a bike for whatever reason, whether it was to go to college or to work, then I wouldn't stand in the way, Skeggy. She's a pretty sensible girl, and I think she'd be okay. So yeah, I wouldn't say no to her, to be honest. But thanks very much for this question, Skeggy. Weggy ZX12R. Bloody nice one, Keith, mate. Congratulations. Thanks a lot. It was not a lot of trouble. It was a lot of trouble subbing to your channel. Just thought I'd let you know that, buddy. Okay, thank you. My question is: what has been your best and worst moment on a live hangout? Well, I think my worst moment on a hangout was that time when I did my own hangout. I don't have an awful lot of confidence when it comes to kind of talking in front of camera, or even doing things on stage, or even in front of colleagues at work. And I've been whittling about that hangout all day at work, worrying what am I going to say, how's it going to start. And I remember I was all geared up for the off, and it completely went all pear-shaped. I think I struggled to even get into my own hangout, and I think someone had to invite me in. Then I couldn't get my words out, but luckily I had a great bunch of guys. I think you might have been one of them, Weggy, in that hangout, and you all kind of rallied round and kind of helped me through it. But I'm not in any rush to kind of do one again. I would probably say that was one of my worst moments. I'm not one for being the centre of attention, if you like. I like partaking in other people's hangouts. I like doing that, but my own, not too sure about. In terms of the best moment, although this perhaps wasn't the best moment in terms of Mr. B, but do you remember that hangout, Weggy, where we're doing one of his safety hangouts, and we'd watched that video with that guy in I think it was a Ducati, and that lorry had come around the bend, and it kind of took him out and flattened his bike, and he kind of just jumped out of the way. And Mr. B was trying to ask us, what would we do, etc. And no matter what answer we gave him, it wasn't quite the answer he was looking for, and he was getting more and more frustrated about it, wasn't he, again? And in the end, I just completely burst out laughing. I just thought it was the funniest thing that I'd ever seen, and and he just had a complete meltdown, didn't he? And he kicked me off the hangout, which was really funny. And I mean, to be fair to him, he did apologise the day after, but I just thought it was one of those moments where it was just comedy gold. You couldn't have made it up. It was just the funniest thing to happen to me in a hangout, being kicked off simply because I thought a moment was really funny. But like I say, Mr. B, he did apologise and it's all good. So we're best friends again. So it was no big deal. But yeah, that has to be one of my best moments in a hangout. So thank you very much, Wiggy, for those 2 questions. Bex88, wow, big congratulations, Keith. Question 1, do you have any phobias? And if so, what are they? No, I don't, Bex. I don't actually have any phobias, at least not that I'm aware of. But maybe this trip to Australia will kind of bring those hidden ones out that maybe I thought I didn't have. But as far as I'm aware, Bex, I don't have any phobias whatsoever. There's not an awful lot that I'm particularly scared of. I might be wary of a few things, but I don't go into meltdown if I come into contact or see something in particular. So thank you for that question. Question number 2 from Bex, how often do you clean your bike? Well, I don't actually clean it at all, Bex, if I'm brutally honest. I actually take it to a guy down the road who does it for me for £3.50, and the bike gets a clean that way at least once a month. So I'm quite lazy when it comes to looking after my bike. I'd rather be out riding than cleaning it. Question 3 from Bex, if you had to trade in your bike for either a horse, a 50cc scooter or a trike, which would you pick? I wouldn't pick a horse. I'm not overly keen with horses. I have ridden a few times, but I just find them a little bit too skitty and unpredictable. So I certainly wouldn't trade it in for a horse. 50cc scooter, I've had a scooter in the past, albeit it was slightly higher than 50, it was a 90cc. So I wouldn't go for the scooter because I've already kind of ridden one of those. So I'd go with the trike, simply because I could probably take my girlfriend and her daughter out on it at the same time, and that would be absolutely fantastic. And that way you get a daughter out on something, because I know she's always asking me whether she could go out on the bike sometime, but I'm just not too sure whether I'd like to take her out. I don't mind taking my daughter, but at least if I had a trike, I could take my girlfriend out and then obviously take my girlfriend's daughter with me. So I'd choose the trike, Bex. So thank you for those 3 questions. The Northern Vlogger, congrats on pipping the 2000 milestone. My question is philosophical. What came first, the bike or the biker? Well, I think it would have to be the bike. You can't be a biker without a bike, can you really? Thank you for the question. Revved Up Biker, question, have you ever done a modification on your bike that you've regretted? Truthfully, no. I've done very few modifications on my bike. The only things I've kind of done is fitted another exhaust, which I've never really regretted, and I've put a USB port on the bike, which again, it's not been a regret. So no, I haven't. I don't think I'd like to put anything on that that would be overcomplicated. I think if I did, then that would probably be a regret. But no, I haven't had any regrets with any of the small number of modifications that I've made. But thanks for the question, Revved Up Biker. Captain Cranky, congrats mate. I looked at my channel the other day and realised I don't have 10,000 subs. So big thanks to the 98,400 bastards who haven't subbed me yet. Question, how do you feel about buying Irishman drinks if you meet them on an overseas trip? Well, as you well know, Captain Cranky, I will be coming to see you and I will happily buy you a drink, or 2 or even 3 if you so wish. What I'd like to know from you, Captain Cranky, is whether they actually have Guinness in Australia, because I'm not a big lager drinker, and I know they drink lots of lager in Australia, but I am a big Guinness drinker, so perhaps you can let me know that in the comments below whether they have Guinness. But yeah, certainly up for buying you a drink, mate, no problem whatsoever. Next question, Fair with a Biker, well done on 2,000 subs. My questions are, number 1, have you been scared on a bike? Yes, I have. That was probably the first time I rode on a bike. In fact, the day I did my CBT, and the session that we went out on the road for the first time, I have to say was probably the most nerve-wracking that I've ever had in my entire life. To be out in traffic on something that was fairly unfamiliar up until that morning, and then be expected to kind of spend 2 or 3 hours riding it was pretty nerve-wracking. But you know, I've since got over that, thankfully. And now I would quite happily jump on anybody's bike now and ride it without any problems whatsoever. His second question is, what are your top 5 roads in your area? Right, this is a very good question. I would have to say Via Gelia would be one of those. Snake Pass would be another. I'm going to slightly cheat now because I'm going to pick some roads that are a little bit further away from me. I would go for the road that they call the Yorkshire TT, which is the road that goes from Stokesley to Hemsley. If you've subscribed to Calm Biker's channel, you'll see that his recent ride out on the 24th of April was part of that was on the Yorkshire TT. That's a fantastic road. Winrose and Hard Knot Pass, the road that takes you through those two passes in the Lake District, I have to say is one of my favourite roads. And I would have to also say, unless I've gone over the 5, the coast road that XT Donkey took us on in Northern Ireland was quite possibly one of my favourite all-time roads as well. The scenery was absolutely fantastic. So thank you very much, Fairweather Rider, for those questions. Wolfie Picks, I have a few questions. Yes, he does. Question 1, if you had a choice of any bikes in the world, which bike would you own? God, that's a tough question. I'm gonna dip out of this one slightly. If I could have any bike in the world, what I'd probably do, I'd buy myself a really expensive track bike and get myself some decent track experience and use my track bike. I think that's what I'd do. Is about any bike in the world. Question 2, what bike would you own pre-1980s? I've got no idea. If I'm brutally honest, mate, I'm not very good with bikes. I don't really know many modern bikes, to be honest, never mind any pre-1980s, so sorry, but I can't really answer that question. Question 3, your favourite bike you've owned or ridden? Oh, my favourite bike I've owned, well, it has to be the SV. That's my favourite bike so far, but that might change if I decide to buy another bike later on. Favourite bike that I've ridden? That's a difficult one. I certainly liked riding Skeggy Cruiser's Cruiser and also Suffolk Andy's Harley Davidson. They were 2 good bikes to ride. So yeah, I'm going to opt for those 2, I think, because I enjoyed riding those 2. It was something a little bit different. And yeah, there were 2 great bikes to ride. So there would be my 2 that I've favoured that I've perhaps ridden that belong to somebody else. What is your own favourite video? Oh God, I think I might have already touched on this already in a previous answer, but the video that I did with the Charlie Chaplin voiceover was possibly one of my all-time favourite videos. My all-time favourite YouTube channel, not my own. That is so tough a question. I'm not sure whether I can answer that one if I'm brutally honest. If I was to pick one, and this is no disrespect to anybody else, and simply because this guy does a lot of touring videos, but I watch a channel called Richie Vida. Now, he doesn't live too far away from me, actually, just up the road, Alfreton Way, I think. And he tours a lot of fantastic tours. I think last year he went to the Arctic Circle. Or he went to northern Norway or somewhere like that, and I think this year's going to America, so he's got to be one of my favourite channels simply because of the touring videos. But the guys that I hang out with in the Hangouts, they're also my favourite YouTube channels as well. Your question number 6, if you don't mind, I'm going to save that one because I think that would make an excellent challenge, so maybe we could get together and have a discussion about that, Wolfie Pick. So, but thank you for the other 5 questions, mate. Shoni Maloney, question, is there any UK road that you've heard about that you would love to ride but haven't had the chance yet? Yes, there is actually, and that's a road called Applecross Pass, and it's in the Highlands of Scotland. I think it's the highest pass in Scotland. That's definitely on my bucket list, and that's definitely a road that I certainly would like to ride along for sure. So thank you, Shoni, for that question. Next question, the Black Douglas. Congratulations on crossing the threshold. I'm just curious as to what software you use for video editing, particularly the video sequence. The use of graphics there is fantastic. Well, thank you very much. I use Sony Movie Studio. That's my main video software package. But the one I used for my opening sequence, I think, was Coral Video Studio, I think, or Video Maker. I might put a description of it. I'll flash it up if that's not what the name of the title was. That's the one I used for the opening sequence, because I couldn't find another package that would do something as good as that, because it had some presets which I really like. But yeah, thank you Black Ducks for that question. Mr. Oz Adventure, congrats on 2000, mate. You really deserve it. Thank you very much. I'll definitely participate in the Q&A. No taboo. Okay then, he says. Now, how old were you when you lost your virginity, and in what location was it? Well, I have to admit, Mr. Oz Australia, I was quite a late developer. I didn't actually lose my virginity till quite late on, if I'm brutally honest. In fact, I was 19 years old when I did. And the location was on the girlfriend at the time's parents' living room carpet, so which was a little bit dangerous because the parents were upstairs sleeping at the time. But yeah, that was the first time I lost my virginity, and the location of it as well. So thank you very much for that, Mr. Oz Adventure. Last three questions, you'll be pleased to know. Paul Hales. Hi Paul. Question: if you could take 5 people with you on a grand bike tour, who would you take and which 5 would you not take? That is a very hard question. I think the 5 that I would take, I'd certainly like to go on a tour with Calm Biker, the infamous biker, Suffolk Andy, Captain Rambunctious would be pretty awesome, and Skeggy Cruiser. I think they would be my 5 that I would like to take on a tour with me, because I think we'd have a fantastic time together. Which 5 would I not take? Ooh, good question. I'd probably have to say, having gone to Ireland with the guys that I went with last time, I certainly wouldn't go on a tour with those guys again. I'm only kidding. I enjoyed our tour, guys, and I'd drop a hat, I'd go touring with you again. I can't think of anyone I wouldn't wish to go on tour with at all. I think what you'd have to do, you'd have to go on tour with somebody and find out that you didn't get on with them, to then decide you want to go out on tour with them again. But no, the guys that I went on tour with in Ireland, I'd go on tour with them anytime again. And the 5 that I've mentioned is the 5 that I would wish to take on a tour with me, with those 5. So thank you for those 2 questions, Paul. Who am I, UK one? Oh, Dave, my question is, who is your best sculpture artist of scrap steel motorbikes? Let me think now. Well, I think that'd have to be you, Dave. You're the only one that I know of that can make a bike out of scrap metal. And question 2 is why? Just why? Well, simply because you're the best, Dave. You're the absolute best of it. That's the answer. Thanks for those 2 questions, my UK one. And finally, last but not least, Old Man Tony. Well done on the subscribers. Now for a question. Which would you rather be? A bee or a wasp? Well, that's quite easy for me. I think I'd rather be a wasp, because as a bee, as you know, when you sting as a bee, you pretty much die shortly after that. At least with a wasp, you can keep on being a nuisance and you can carry on stinging people. And I'd like to sting all those really annoying people that I come across in my life, just as a way of getting back at them. But yeah, that's what I'd rather be. I'd rather be a wasp, Tony. Anyway, guys, I think that's it. So I'm sorry that video went on a bit, but I had such a lot of questions to answer. So thank you very much again for those people that took the trouble to ask me a question. I hope you were satisfied with the answers that you got. So all that's left for me to do now, or incidentally, Nashi, just going back to your question about the fruit pastel, I think I actually chewed it, because it's since been swallowed. So the answer to your question is no, I can't. But thanks for your question. Anyway, going back to the draw, it's time to draw the winner of my Q&A competition. So all those girls and guys that asked a question. I've put your names in this little bowl and I'm going to draw a winner out, and the winner will win some stickers and a wyvernbiker mug. So I'm just going to mix them up a bit, and I'm just going to pick one at random. I won't look. Let's have a look who this belongs to. Okay. Well, it's O2 Big Kev. So congratulations, mate. If you can see that. But you are the winner of my Q&A competition, Kev. So if you want to get in touch with me and let me have your address, I'll send over the prize to you. That's the wyvernbiker mug and the stickers. So congratulations, mate, and I look forward to sending that over to you. Everyone else, I'm sorry that you didn't win, but thank you very much for taking part in that competition. I've thoroughly enjoyed reading and answering your questions. And as always, thanks for watching, guys. Ride safe, and I'll catch you next time. That's about way, so we're going to go at 8:52.